Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel, and if you are new, then a big huge welcome to you. I haven't been uploading like I should have done last week, and I've got a reason why, because I'm working behind the scenes on World Autism Awareness Week, and then also outside of YouTube a lot of things have been going on, including an audition which I am currently revising for at the moment, but I won't say what it is because of privacy reasons. But it is going to take me a month to read the script before the audition, but I don't know what's going to happen, but it may have an effect with my YouTube channel once I hear news back in a month's time. But until then, I'll keep everyone informed and I will see what happens in the meantime. But then also I'm jumping back and forth with World Autism Awareness Week, which starts on the 29th of March, which I'm so excited for. But I know I've got a lot of bits to do in the meantime, so I will be absent, but I will try to film and upload as much as I can beforehand. But then yeah, that's all I got to say really. I felt like I jibber jabbered on too much. But yeah, let's get down to the video. Today, even though this is an old article and I was planning to do it, but like I said before, life intervened. But today I want to read out and react to an article that I found on Facebook last week, but by the time this video goes up, it will be 2 weeks later. I've read this article and I thought to myself, this is such a good thing to read because lately Netflix is doing really well with their programs, and I was so surprised to find out they were planning to do more disability awareness shows. So in other words, really make more inclusive shows involving characters with disabilities such as autism and cerebral palsy. And I wanted to read this article because I wanted to explain a little bit on my own stuff on it. But if you want to have a read of the article yourself, I will leave a link in the description box down below. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read it out and then I might come back and forth. My throat will probably hurt by the time I finish this, but I'll go slow and steady and just look after my throat as best as I can, really, to be honest. So the article from Disability Scoop is called "With Disabilities Rarely Seen, Netflix Commits $100,000 million towards inclusion." So even though Disability Scoop is an American magazine and basically Netflix is an American network, so it's bound to be American as it were, I always found that Netflix and TV shows in America have done really well portraying characters with autism. And even though there are some programs that involve disability characters but not actors who have a disability, such as The Good Doctor, there have been a few studies which has allowed Netflix to have their own take and response to this by creating more shows. And this is what the article says. Netflix is pledging to do more after a report finds that representation of people with disabilities and other groups is lacking in its original films and TV shows. So in other words, really, they have found their films and TV shows that some characters have disabilities, but the actors who portray them don't have a disability, and this is a massive response, especially with the Sierra music film scandal. Where I don't know if it's the right word to call it a scandal, but for me it is really, because it was a huge disaster for the autistic community. But I won't go into detail on that because a lot of people have mentioned it already. But I don't know if it was in completely response to music, and this, I think, is kind of like it is. And there will be people who will disagree with me, but I think it's really interesting to see that the writer of this article has opened with that statement. The report released late last week, so this was February, so the end of February, was conducted by Stacey Smith at the University of Southern California's Annenberg School for Communication and Journalism. I think I got this right, but I don't really know. I never lived in the States, so I'm bound to pronounce some things wrong just because of my accent. I'm sorry for all my friends who are in America. Anyway, who regularly analyses diversity on screen and was asked by Netflix to assess its work. Smith and her team reviewed 126 films and 108 series released in 2018 and 2019 to measure representation by gender, race, ethnicity, I think that's how I pronounce it right, but I don't know, ethnicity, LGBT community and disability. When Netflix and Stacey Smith actually talked about studying the report, the first thing that came to mind for me was atypical, and I don't know if it was from series 1, 2, 3 or 4. I can't remember how many series that Atypical have actually done. And also Special. And the series 1 for Special, oh my goodness, it was so brilliant. And I would highly recommend watching it, because even though Special doesn't really focus on the autistic community, it's based on a true story about a journalist who's not only gay but also has cerebral palsy. So the representation of the main character in the show, and I don't know if the actor really had cerebral palsy or not, but I thought that was a really interesting take. And compared to Atypical, I've never watched Atypical too much because I've heard a few things about it, especially with series 1, which I found it lacked a very bad portrayal of autism. Well, I wouldn't say bad, but just gave it a little bit injustice. And I did watch series 1 on it, and yeah, I totally agreed with that. But my parents started watching Atypical recently from season 2 onwards, and even though I never watched series 2 onwards yet, both of them said to me that they found it really good, and that got me intrigued to watch it a bit more, but I haven't really done that yet, and I need to at some point. And it's a good difference between that and the BBC show The A Word. And The A Word on the BBC actually made a very big justice of a character with autism, especially when they included autistic actors. And I thought it was a very big revolution and a big take. And even though I watched a few episodes of The A Word, I thought it was brilliant. But this was way before Netflix actually started their own take on shows representing autism and other disabilities too. While the Netflix gave Netflix good marks on gender equality and for making progress in inclusion of those from some underrepresented racial and ethnic groups, it found that the LGBT plus community and people with disabilities rarely see themselves in content on the streaming service. And yeah, I definitely agree with this, because compared to The A Word and compared to all the shows on Netflix like Special and Atypical, and also a few films that Netflix uploaded that represented different characters with disabilities, especially Please Stand By, which I've never seen, but unfortunately it's not on Netflix anymore, I can really understand that, because what the study shows is that the actors who portray autistic characters are not autistic, and especially with now the Sia case, it's become a massive issue within not just the disability community but for the performing arts community as well. Characters with disabilities accounted for just 5.3% of leads and 4.7% of the main cast in film and series on Netflix, the study found. When all speaking characters were factured, only 2.1% had disabilities. This is far short of reflecting the 27.2% of the population who have disabilities, the report noted. When individuals with disabilities are shown, they were likely to be male and most were white. Yeah, again, this is really interesting because it is the case. However, there have been a few portrayals, but I don't know if it was specifically which were not produced or uploaded on Netflix, but various different films that represented the disability community in females. And it has not really shown on Netflix a lot, but I can't remember if there was a girl in Atypical who had autism or another disability. I really don't remember. But when I watched Special, it did focus on a white male, and I thought to myself, that is definitely the right scenario for this. But when I mean scenario, I mean, yeah, I could definitely see that from an audience member's point of view. And I don't know why that every disability character in shows, whether it's Netflix or BBC, it mostly involves men. And this is the thing that I don't really get. Is it a stereotypical thing? Is it a easy representation thing? I don't really know. And this is something that, even though this is the second time I read it, it has put my mind into question. Researchers observe little change in representation of people with disabilities between 2018 and 2019, concluding that there is room for Netflix to grow in order to depict the full range of how people experience disability. Notably, the report found that strong representation behind the camera among certain groups like women lead to better representation of those groups on screen. Now that was really interesting. I think I must have skipped that, but it was really interesting considering that, especially on the film now, there have been a few films that had autistic characters, but these characters are in a woman's point of view. So films like Please Stand By and Snowcake, they were really good portrayals of girls with autism. And a lot of people said to me that both of those films were really good of how autistic females were portrayed, but surprisingly, Please Stand By was the most voted. I did a poll on the best portrayals of autism on film and television a few months ago, but I was so surprised that a lot of people said Please Stand By was a good representation. And I wish I can explain it a bit more, but since I've never watched the film but only reacted to the trailer a few years ago, but I heard the story plot through Jack, it was interesting considering how things were portrayed. In response, Netflix said it will establish a fund that will invest $100 million over the next 5 years in organisations that help bring underrepresented communities into the television and film industries and in programs to train and hire new talent at the company. I think there was a similar thing that happened during Atypical, because after series 1 of Atypical was uploaded onto Netflix, I heard that a lot of parents and charities said that Atypical didn't really represent autism as much, and in response Netflix decided to do a study, and I don't know if this is wrong because I don't really know, but there's things I have picked up within the last few years, but from what I heard and understand, the producers and directors of Atypical went and did some research in multiple social groups, like support groups for parents who had autistic individuals, including children, teenagers and adults, and once they got all the research together, they actually made the representation of characters, including the main character with autism, a bit more accurate. And I don't know if it made it stronger within series 2 onwards, but I think since by that point, a lot of people said that the show's got a lot better over the years. So in a way, through that paragraph, I can see that Netflix wants to do a similar thing, but I don't know that because of COVID-19 at the moment, I don't know if they're going to do it in multiple groups again, but with the social distancing it may or may not be possible. But then also it could be anything, it could be Zoom calls, anything could have happened really. And I know I'm not making sense, but these are just a few things that just go around in my mind most of the time. This study sets a high bar for the wider industry and demonstrates how an internal I don't know how to pronounce this, but it's I think it's kind of like that, is a critical first step forward inclusive change, Smith said. Ted Sandus, I don't know how to pronounce his surname and I'm sorry, the co-CEO and chief content officer at Netflix, said the company is committed to releasing a new version of the Inclusion Project every 2 years through 2026. By better understanding how we are doing, we hope to stimulate change not just at Netflix but across our industry more broadly, Sandos said. And that's the whole article. In conclusion, I think it's a really good jump forward for Netflix to do like loads of things. And even though lots of actors and producers and directors for each show might step onto board with this, it's really good that Netflix decided to come on board to help create better justice for the disability community. But yeah, I really think that this is really good. And even though the article said that it focused on disability a bit more, I think it's really good that Netflix is trying to create a range of different and various groups. So I'm really pleased about this. And what's going to happen in the future, who knows, but I may look into more stuff at some point, and I will probably give another video update once everything happens in a few years, providing I still have Netflix, that is. But I cannot wait to watch a bit more of the shows as time goes on. But I know that I need to watch Atypical, I may try to watch The Good Doctor again, and I know I need to watch Please Stand By, but I cannot wait for series 2 of Special. That's the one thing I'm really looking forward to about the most, especially since I know a few people who have cerebral palsy. It's really good to see things like that and to see how time goes on, really, to be honest. And I know I'm not making much sense, but I think with my thinking, I can get carried away because this is a really exciting moment for me, especially since being an autistic actor and just a person who's really dedicated to very good representations within the autistic and disability communities. It is very, very important to me, and I really cannot wait to see what happens in the main future. And with this, I'm going to be drawing this video to a close right here. What do you guys think about this? Do you think it's a really good idea? Do you think Netflix can do a bit more with this? Or do you think that more organisations or networks should follow Netflix's lead and just take a very good example with this? Let me know what you think in the comments and let's get talking about it. I would really love to hear your thoughts and opinions on this one. And I will be back doing more videos at some point because I have one more video on the way before World Autism Awareness Week. But I'm really excited to see what happens and in the process, and I will probably be slow in uploading videos before that, but I'm really excited just to show you what happens. But I'm not saying anything yet on what's happening because I'm going to keep it quiet until everything is coming into place. But then yeah, I really cannot wait. And are you guys looking forward to World Autism Awareness Week as well? Let me know in the comments and let's get talking about it. I would really love to hear your thoughts and opinions on this one too. And until then guys, I hope you have a wonderful day wherever you are in the world, and as always remember to keep on dreaming and never stop believing. Stay safe, stay well, take care of yourselves, and always believe in yourselves, and I'll see you very soon. Bye!